Hey everyone, it is Josh with Optimize You, and I am here with Father Mike, an amazing man that we have had the pleasure of seeing speak three times now. He is he is still an Orthodox priest, pastoral psychologist, men's coach, bodybuilder. I've seen pictures, he's proved it. He wants to help men improve their lives. He wants to help achieve mature masculinity, whether you're having issues today or your kids are having issues, your young men are having issues. He's here to kind of help with that. He previously served as the priest at Holy Transfiguration Church in Michigan before retiring from full time parish ministry to do bodybuilding, coaching, all of the above. But thank you, everyone, for kind of joining us today and allowing me to introduce Father Michael to you.
Thank you. You're too kind.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and alas, I am no longer on stage. I have hung up the trunks uh,
okay,
after a 10-year run in 12 contests. But I am still involved. I'm judging
there you
contests
go.
now
There you
these
go.
days.
Where's the next one you're going to judge?
Ypsilanti, Michigan, I think.
Oh,
Yes, the Michigan State Natural Bodybuilding Contest.
I love it. I love it. So he's been in this field for a really long time. He is a real representation of men and men's health. I have to say, yeah, and listening to him speak, listening to how he interacts with the people around him, it's been a blessing. And it is Men's Health Month, like I said. And
Yes.
why Optimize You started originally was me and my business partner Jerry. We had doctors with us, and we wanted a place where men could go to get care. We had a lot of patients around us that they were either going to a primary care where they didn't know what they were doing, injections once a month, they were hurting their bodies, they were feeling worse, or they couldn't afford it. I'm a registered nurse. At the time, I could not afford therapy if I wanted to go to a private person who wanted to go. So we wanted to figure out a way to do that. And I kind of feel like you have the same mission as far as how men goes. You want to figure out a way in order to help men be successful, whether they're going through whatever they're going through in their lives. Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, absolutely. The tack I have taken is, by and large, once men come to me, once men don't change until they need to,
Right.
or until they're in pain. And so about the time men start looking for help, looking for someone to talk to, they know their life is no longer working, then they start looking for some help. And so once they're in kind of that transition, whether it's late 20, early something men in what we call quarter life crisis now, where they're having trouble adulting, as they
Yes.
like to say, or men at midlife, or guys who finally realize that they're just not feeling well and start TRT. Then they're open to something. And so what I do is I say, okay, look, where do you want to be 3 to 5 years from now? What is the life you really want to have? Who is the man who can have that life?
Yeah.
Because if you were already that man, you would have that life. So we have a little work to do. And then we figure out who it is, that can have that life, you 2.0, as it were, so we'd have Josh 2.0. For myself, I gave myself a new name. It's on my coffee mug. So Dino Mike
There you
is
go.
sort of my future self name, the guy that I aspire to be. And he has a bunch of characteristics I try to live every day. We figure out who that is. We then set up your environment in a way to where your everyday life supports the life you want to have, the man you want to be, rather than the guy you have been up to this point, and then give you a few other tools to help make that possible.
Well, I think yeah, you've got a really good history of positioning yourself to do that. You have a really unique background that combines bodybuilding,
Mhm.
faith, coaching. How has that helped you kind of form your opinion on how to help people?
Yeah,
You can't
admittedly,
do it.
I am a little bit of a strange creature, and that's okay. I sort of revel in the fact that I'm not completely traditional, as an Orthodox priest. My undergraduate work was in archetypal psychology, so I understand a lot of what passes in men's work when we talk about male archetypes like warrior or a king, or something like that. In addition to that, 31 years in pastoral ministry means that for 3 decades, I've had people who have been opening their hearts to me in pastoral counseling session, tens of thousands of confessions
Mhm.
over that time. And then a huge influx of younger men who have been coming into the Orthodox Church in the last several years. I sat down with every one of them, so I have a very good idea of what particularly young men are looking for, and men again at midlife, because I did midlife like 3 times before I finally figured it out for myself. Uh, and then, at least for the bodybuilding piece that came in, for me, personally, it was just kind of another frontier that I wanted to push. I had pushed myself hard academically and got my PhD. I believe I've pushed myself fairly spiritually, in my relationship with my Lord. And I thought, what could I do with my body? Let's see how far I can carry that. And of course, bodybuilding is a bit of an extreme sport, so I found the limits of what I could do physically. Alas, it wasn't enough to win a pro card, but that's the reality of it. But I did as best as I possibly could, and I take a great deal of pride in that.
That's great.
And for in every case where we're talking about men's development, health is the foundational thing we need to build on. A lot of guys think they can build a new life or a second career or something else, but their diet's crap. They're physically out of shape. They're not sleeping well. Maybe too much weed, alcohol, porn, Netflix and chill or whatever it is that they may be doing. And there's a lot of very foundational stuff that needs to be in place first before they can really build the life that they want. So I always start guys, on those physical things. And as I don't know if you know Bedros Keuilian, he's sort of a long for time friend of mine and somewhat of a business coach. He says fitness is the gateway drug to men's self-development. So
Right.
if we can get guys to exercise, the disciplines and the benefits of exercise are fungible, and that you can use them in other aspects of your life. So you can be faithful in the gym, you can be faithful at work, you can work hard at your studies. And you can, 'cause what are the first lessons in the gym? I mean, even before you see physical change, you have to make a plan. You work hard, you work through pain, you go when you don't want to go, you delay gratification. You don't even see the results for a month. What's the old song? You don't see results for a month. Your closest friends don't see it for 2 months. Nobody else sees it for 3 months. But
Mm.
all of those early wins and sort of the mental discipline of it gives us, a set of tools that you can use in the rest of your life, and they're phenomenal. I've seen young guys start at the gym, go in because they're fighting demons of some sort, getting over a bad relationship. Some chick laughed at him, when he went. I had a friend who went in to buy size 48 waist jeans, and the saleswoman laughed at him, and he completely turned around his life and became a pro bodybuilder as a result of it, you know. But the reason people start in the gym isn't, because they want to post nice ab pics to their buddies on TikTok. Very often, self-improvement, shame, some sort of pain that they're working through. So, I look in the gym and I see guys slaying dragons right and left, and it's a huge inspiration to me.
That's wonderful, and yeah, I think that's what a lot of men think. So initially they think, okay, men's health. It's men's health. What do I need to do? I need to exercise. I need to eat
Mhm.
right. I probably need testosterone. But I think you really kind of went over a few of those things that are really overlooked, right? Maybe
Mhm.
drive, working on drive, working on mental clarity. Along with all of those is family.
Mhm.
What I'll see a lot of times with our guys is they spend so much time focused on their family, focused on their family, focused on their family. Their life kind of, their personal life kind of deteriorates as far as they gain weight, their testosterone lowers, their energy levels drive, their libido drive goes down, all of these different things. You have talked to 10,000 different confessions, and it's been through a huge transition. So you've probably seen this firsthand. Young guy, they get a family, they start deteriorating because they focus solely on their family. Do
Mhm.
you discuss that with them and saying, hey, make sure you're focusing on yourself as well because that's how you help your family? And kind of maybe give some examples of what you've seen in the past.
Hey, yeah, actually, it's something that I've started saying recently at weddings. Even
Mm,
when I marry young guys to their gals, I say to the bride, he gets to keep his guy friends,
yeah,
and I tell to the group, she gets to keep her girlfriends.
right.
First off, because nowadays a lot of couples, they just focus on each other so much that they expect their relationship to carry every aspect of psychological, mental, and social health. And it's very often more than one person can bear. So, yeah, guys do need to, and also, as we do focus, and because we love our wives, we love our children, we want to, do well at work as well. But you're right, men do pay the price for that. And the deteriorating life is one that catches up to you, and then suddenly you find out that you're miserable. Or in my case, I woke up one day and found I was old, gray, fat, and ugly, and I didn't like what I saw. You know, so what I encourage men to do is that it will feel selfish to prioritize your own health. It will
Yeah.
feel immensely selfish. It did for me. I felt incredibly guilty the first day I put the gym on the calendar as a regular appointment that I keep with myself. You know, that I was, and then to spend money on myself for a gym membership or self-development books or to take a course. It was very hard, but what I found was that if I wasn't functioning well, I could not show up to my wife, to my sons, to my congregation. I was a burnt out husk of a man, and I wasn't doing myself or anybody else any good. So what seemed initially to be a selfish take on my own mental and physical health turned out to be one of the best gifts I was able to give to anybody else.
So ultimately, Men's Health Month, right? We want you to be able to show up. That's
Yeah,
what it's for you, right?
yeah. And when you do, I mean, your own life improves. And again, to say, especially when people get married or they focus exclusively on family or on their business or whatnot, and they lose some of those male relationships. I tell you what, speaking specifically of men's health, mental health in men, loneliness has become an epidemic, an absolute epidemic. Men
Mhm.
are lonelier now. COVID did us no good on that score. It simply magnified an issue that was already there.
Yeah,
And regrettably, suicidality is closely tied to male loneliness. And so
absolutely.
as loneliness has gone up, so has the incidence of male suicide. And you want to talk about, men's health. That's kind of an elephant in the room that a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about, but it's there. So, yeah, getting out and getting friends, being out with people. Sometime I have to tell the young guys that because they spend all their time in the basement playing video games or all online. Because you need to go out and meet people, and
Hmm.
ideally people who are not like yourself. So you get used to dealing with all kinds of different people in all kinds of settings. That's one of the best things you can do for yourself for the rest of your life. Is
Yeah,
being able to
we're
deal.
working on a we're working on a class now, a psychiatric mental health class for men with hormones and testosterone, and that's one of the modules is young men limiting themselves, interacting with just AI, porn, not getting out in the community. But in there, we also do call out women. It's been more difficult for men to walk up and talk to women. It's
Oh
more
yeah.
difficult, and I saw somebody the other day about why men don't dance anymore. And it's because they're afraid to get videos, right? They know a camera's
Mm.
going to pop up and they're going to get video, and they don't want that to go out to the world. Maybe they're not a good dancer. Josh Hudson, not a good dancer.
The white guy, the white guy dance. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And so they're now afraid they're going to get videotaped, and that's going to go out in the community, and then they're going to get made fun of. And so there's young men out there who won't go talk to women, whether it's because they're getting shamed or they get laughed at because they went up and talked to a woman, or the woman makes fun of them, or
Hmm.
they don't go dance anymore. All of these things are creating more loneliness, and I hate seeing it. I hate seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a simple first step to help address that particular issue is go talk to anybody.
Yeah.
If young guys are scared to approach women, talk to the old guy in the checkout line at the supermarket, who's got a
Absolutely.
basket behind you.
He
Oh,
wants to talk to you.
he wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
Especially us older guys. We love to talk. I discovered a new term, boomer maxing, and I am a boomer, so sort of that over friendly, over helpful attitude that older guys got. I got it in spades. Now, just for the younger, go out. It's one of the benefits of being out around people. Small talk.
Mm.
Hey, did you catch the fight last night, or did you catch the game? You're asking for nothing. It costs absolutely nothing, but you get used to just talking to different people and encountering different responses so that when it's time to have a conversation that's actually substantive or where you want to approach a woman, at least some of the terror about just simply talking to anybody has already been addressed. And you
Yeah.
realize that no, you're not going to go crazy and you're not going to die, just because you said hey to the guy at the checkout line. You know?
Yeah.
And courage and confidence comes from stacking small wins.
Hmm.
So start small, do what you're able, but continue to do it, and your confidence and your courage will build.
Yeah. Speaking of like small wins, big wins, that's a huge part of a men's kind of mentality. It's their life, right? Whether it's their career, their income, their physical ability, their family. What I've sometimes seen is that they have these wins. If one goes down, it's really hard for that person all to come back. Maybe they lose their job. Maybe they get divorced. Maybe they get a pay cut. How have you seen? How have you been able to help again? Because I want to go back to things you can do to help these people. What have you done in the past where it's like, hey, I'm going to help you through this process. Maybe you don't need me long term, but maybe you're having a hard time right now. I can help you through this. Let me show you how.
Yeah, for major life traumas like that, divorce, loss of a job, change of career, birth of a child,
Yeah.
anything like that can be, yeah, it can be extremely disruptive. Very often, simply being present with somebody while they're going through something is one of the best things you can do.
Yeah.
But when they're ready to work, then what we do is, again, a lot of the work that I do in my approach is very future focused. It's what distinguishes me from a therapist or a psychologist. They kind of focus on the past and how that brings us to the present. Coaches typically focus on the present and where we can go from here. So I meet a guy wherever he is, even in the brokenness and wretchedness of his life, I have to meet him where he is. And then we find where he'd really like to be. And very often it's just, what's the next step?
Hmm.
Or as they say in recovery movement, very often, you know, one more day, just one more day, just one more step. And
Sure.
so and again, the purpose of the one more day or the one more step is to build the confidence that no, he's not destroyed by something bad has happened to him. He is not therefore a bad man, which is the shame response. Shame says there's something existentially wrong with me.
Hmm.
And we help him get over that shame and say, okay, something terrible has happened to your life. You haven't gone crazy and you haven't died. Where do we go from here? Where do you want to go from here? Let's take that step. And I can provide some clarity. I can provide some guidance. I can provide some accountability. Because the guy is, especially if you're particularly depressed or really wounded because you're, I was talking with someone last week who's, discovered that his wife was having an affair, and he's facing the end of his marriage.
Hmm.
Well, okay, that's real rough. We can sit with that for a little bit. But what is the real outcome? Yeah, he's furious. Okay, we can deal with anger. But does being angry get you what you need to get, that you really want, out of this? So let's try to we'll deal with the anger a little bit. Okay, but let's try to bracket and see what we need to do. What steps can we actually take to make this situation better or to get you through it?
And get you through it probably quicker, right? Bring you down. All
Yeah,
right.
bring down bleed off some of the emotion. I'm
Right.
fine. I can sit with guys. They can yell, scream, cry, whatever. It's all good. I'm not scared of other men's feeling. But
And
also,
just imagine as a man being able to shorten that. Okay, so
yeah,
something bad happens, and if I didn't have help from somebody like you, I'd be dealing with this for a year and a half.
yeah,
What if you're able to shorten that to 3 months, 6 months? You've just saved a year. Now, of course, we don't know that true savings, but it is true savings.
it
Where do
is.
you want to be in 2 years? Because if it takes you a year and a half just to get you over something,
Yeah,
you've now lost a year and a half of where you wanted to be. So I see the value of that coaching.
yeah,
Our optimize you is we want to help you feel better mentally, physically, sexually. Spiritually is where you come in, right?
yeah,
And spiritually doesn't just mean God; it can mean a
yeah,
whole lot of things, right? What I worry about a lot is sometimes our family members, our wives, or even when we're looking at our kids, we miss things, right? We say, "Oh, they're going to be okay." Oh, the guy's like, "Oh, they're going to be okay." The guy just says, "I'm fine." What are some signs you've seen really, really early on that can help our people understand, look for these things? Let's get to this stuff earlier. Let's get people that are having these small signs with you, Father Mike, so that you can get through this so much quicker. Again, shorten that time frame. What are the real first signs you've seen over the past 20 years talking in these confessions, like, hey, I wish I could have gotten to him then?
Well, one of the reasons that I kind of started a coaching practice even late in my pastoral ministry, I started the seeds of this like 3 years ago and grew it very slowly while I was in the parish, but so that I would have something that I could really take off with after I retired. But one of the things that prompted me was I live with a huge amount of regret of, in some cases, decades wasted because I was scared. Honestly, I was just scared to act. I was scared to do certain things, scared fully to be myself. And you may have heard me, I think I said this at Ali's event last November. You know, it was about 15 years ago I wrote in my diary, you know, I'd done everything right. I'd done everything I was supposed to do except live my own life. And it wasn't until I came to that realization that I really began to pull things together well. So I see a lot of guys living with regret. I see a lot of guys not knowing where to start, or just kind of at a complete loss, and then ashamed to ask for help because, you know, guys like to be, you know, think, yeah, we're tough, we got it together, we know what to do and all of that. And so even just simply asking sometimes it can be difficult. After, you know, after 31 years in the parish, I think I have a very, you know, I make it easy for other people to talk to me. So that helps a lot. Also, the fact that all of my conversations are fully confidential. I just bring sort of that sort of pastoral confidentiality into any situation or any conversation I have with anybody. So otherwise, people can't open up and they can't be real, and then we never get to the real reasons as to why they're struggling. You know? Yeah. So they need to be able to trust the container. They need to be able to trust, you know, the other person with them.
I love that. I love that. I'm gonna ask one more question. I think it's a great question. Again, it pulls out where they can find you and see value in you. So for the men listening today who knows they want to improve their lives physically, mentally, sexually, spiritually, but they feel overwhelmed, just like you said, they don't know where to reach. They don't know how to reach it. They just feel overwhelmed. They say, I feel fine, right? Mm-hmm. What are maybe 3 practical steps they could start today? Let's say even one. What is one step they could go today and say, hey, you can start this today and start changing your lives? And then and then the next step is, okay, now reach out to somebody, whether it's me, Father Mike, or whoever. Reach out to somebody, get that companionship.
You know, just to get a brief word, you know, shameless self-promotion out of the way. Of course, you know, they can find me on my website, Average to Alpha. I expect that we'll be doing some work together, so they'll be able to find me through Optimize You as well. But if you want to, if you want to start with something today, and I thought about this in the broader context of Men's Health Month as well. But if you want to improve your life right now, go have one conversation that you've been avoiding. Be it with your wife, a friend, even with yourself. You know, you need to go to the coffee shop and resolve a fundamental issue. That's fine, and have it. It doesn't have to be a big production. That doesn't have to be, you know, some gigantic issue or life-changing thing, or, you know, that's going to set your poor wife off. But just say what's honest and real, and you know, be that vulnerable that you can speak truth, regardless of how it lands. So I'd say that. Have one honest conversation. Another thing you can do, since we mentioned sort of the loneliness and the importance of male friendship, call that guy you haven't seen in a while. You know, and say, come on, let's grab a cup of coffee. Let's go for a beer. And not just, oh, let's do that someday. Yeah. Let's say, I'm free Thursday night. Are you free Thursday night? Let's go to the local watering hole. I'll buy you a beer. I'd love to see you. You know, but make a concrete appointment date with another guy and go and sit face to face in the presence of another man. And then, you know, as a nice precursor to if you ever want to work with me, or if you're at that stage of life where maybe, you know, things aren't working so well, or you're not as good off as you'd like to be, sit and ask yourself one question without your phone, no distractions. Go sit by yourself for about 15 minutes and say, if nothing in my life changes, where will I be in 5 years? And am I okay with that? Maybe you are.
Yeah.
But I think for most of us, if we thought, if I keep doing the same old thing for 5 years, I'm going to be 5 years, most guys will probably shudder inwardly and say, no, no, something really needs to change. So
Yeah.
when you're ready for change, or at least open to the conversation about exploring where you could be, what your life could be like, and how you might get there, here I am.
That's a really interesting statement because, a lot of times a guy might have just said, and I hear this all the time, well, are you setting goals? Are you setting goals? And I guess it's a way of setting goals, right? But it's a really interesting way to think about it of, I don't want to think, I don't want to hear your goals.
Mm.
I just want to know, are you going to be happy in 5 years if you're in the exact same place you are today?
Yeah,
Like, that's a really good starting point, Father Mike. I really like that.
yeah.
I appreciate hearing it.
Hmm.
Well, thank you so much. We're at 25 minutes. I keep them short, like I told you, but Optimize You wants you to feel better physically, mentally, sexually, and spiritually. We're going to make you the connections you need to get the help that you need, whether it is with Father Mike, who can help you with exercise, spirituality, just someone to talk to. You're not ready to go talk to the guy at the bar or the guy at the grocery store. Cool, Father Mike, you can practice, right?
You practice with me, yeah.
There you go. So here at Optimize You, we have lots of avenues to get you guys the help that you need, whether it's medically or through Father Mike. So stop with us. The links for Father Mike will be in the podcast below. So give him a follow on Instagram. Father Mike, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on.
Thank you so much for the invite. It's been fun. I look forward to working with you and your people.
Me too. Me too. Thank you.